Hello and welcome. Thanks for listening. I'm Molly Berg. I'm the Building Science Specialist at Habitat for Humanity International. And I am happy to introduce Sam Rashkin, the Chief Architect for the Building Technologies Office at the Department of Energy, and Jamie Lyons, the Technical Director for the Zero Energy Ready Home Program. And they're going to detail the Zero Energy Ready Home Program today. It's a great model for energy efficient, climate resilient housing and fitting Habitat's goal of creating homes which are affordable for the long term. So thanks very much to the both of you for being here.
Hey, thank you, Molly. This is Sam Rashkin, and I'll begin our presentation today. And this is targeted to Habitat for Humanity stakeholders. We thought we'd take an opportunity to share with you why Zero Energy Ready Home is really key to building affordable houses. It's amazing sometimes when we only go after first cost, how many additional costs we can basically burden the occupants with that will go in perpetuity unless a house is built on the front end to a higher level. So we're going to talk about this today, and I'm going to go through this outline. We'll cover first the new affordability reality that's really part and parcel of the new code changes we've experienced over the last 20 years. Then also about how Habitat and DOE Zero Energy Ready Home can work together. We'll look at the specifications and specifically how they're an easy lift from Energy Star, which many Habitat affiliates are already doing. Then we'll talk about the recognition that's available by certifying homes to Zero Energy Ready Home. And finally, how you can get started and start building much more affordable homes for low-income households. So that's the layout for today. We'll go right into the affordability new reality, and it all starts with an understanding how codes have gotten much more rigorous over time. In this graph, the left vertical axis is the energy use index, and as it goes lower, homes get much more efficient. And then you see time across the horizontal axis. And codes were first introduced in the late 70s, early 80s, on the heels of the oil embargoes that happened during that time. And they flatlined for a long stretch from the mid-80s. And 2006 came along for the International Energy Conservation Code to improve to 2009 and then 2012. And that was significant because that was almost a 40% increase in rigor in the energy efficient performance of even minimum code homes. It was even more significant when you look at the details and requirements and realize that a lot of comfort, maintenance, and health challenges were being introduced. I'd like to talk to you about those conceptually, just so you can understand as a Habitat affiliate what you're getting into when you build even minimum code homes. And start with this question. Are homes affordable if they don't help minimize comfort expenses, what it costs us to make homes comfortable in winter and summer, maintenance expenses over time, and health expenses, and all of that while optimizing future value with the assumption that even low-income households deserve the opportunity for their largest asset they own to have a greater potential to increase in value over time. So this is the question about affordability tied to this new reality. And let's look at the first concept of minimizing comfort expenses. So we have in the older codes a less efficient enclosure on the bottom, and then we move to more efficient enclosure, and we have the cold side on the left and the warm side on the right. So in the winter, the cold side's the outside on the left, and the warm side's the interior, the warm side in the cold climate. In the summer, the cold side's the interior drywall, which is on the left, and the warm side's the exterior on the right. So what happens is, second law of thermodynamics, heat and air move from more to less heat, more to less pressure. So in leakier and less insulated homes, you have a drive for thermal and airflow to go from warm to cold. And once we increase insulation and we improve the air tightness, the amount of thermal and airflow goes down substantially. So the new reality is we have much less thermal flow and airflow in even the new minimum code buildings. And the reason that affects comfort is that we have much, much more airflow to move through our duct systems, HVAC duct systems, in less efficient enclosures, and we have much shorter swing seasons with air conditioning kicking in much earlier in the season and running much later in the season. And with more efficient enclosures, we have less airflow, so we have much, much smaller diameter ducts we need, and we have much longer swing seasons where air conditioning may not start until maybe 4 or 6 weeks later, and they stop 4 or 6 weeks earlier at the end of the summer season. This affects comfort and comfort expenses because we traditionally don't apply a lot of rigor to how we lay out and install the duct systems, and we often install ducts in unconditioned spaces. So the chances of good mixing throughout the home is substantially reduced, and that could lead to homeowners very much reducing or the set point temperature for cooling in the summer and increasing it in the winter, which would increase energy expenses. Similarly, with the longer swing seasons, homes can get very uncomfortable due to high humidity because the air conditioning is not operating during the swing season and removing the latent load. So again, homeowners might be likely to reduce their cooling set point significantly to get comfort and increase their comfort expenses. So it's really important to have good quality installed comfort system to manage our comfort expenses. The other reality has to do with maintenance expenses. And again, we have a lot less thermal flow and airflow in a more efficient enclosure. That means that we have a much colder surface on the cold side facing the cavity. So that would be the sheathing in the winter and the drywall in the summer. So with a colder surface, what happens is we have more wetting potential in the more efficient enclosure and less drying potential because there's so much less heat moving through the assembly. And that means that surface is a lot colder, and it means that any wetness that can get in the enclosure will have less thermal flow to dry it. So we have a lot more risk for moisture issues and potential moisture damage in a more efficient enclosure. The upshot of all that is that we have to be diligent and meticulous at keeping water out of the enclosure to avoid very high maintenance expenses in these homes. So that's the second challenge. The third challenge, health expenses, is a byproduct of a lot less airflow in more efficient enclosures. As a result, contaminants can accumulate a lot more in a very tightly sealed homes, and therefore we need to be more diligent about having a comprehensive approach to indoor air quality. That is, keeping contaminants out in the first place through the materials we choose and techniques we use to keep contaminants from entering the home and pests from entering the home, through whole house ventilation to dilute contaminants that do get inside our homes, and finally through high capture filtration to effectively pull out particulates from the airstream going through our HVAC heating and cooling ducts. So in the absence of doing all that, it's much more likely that occupants could experience respiratory illnesses and miss school, miss work, and have much higher medical expenses that they have to manage. So to ensure these homes are affordable for health, a comprehensive approach to indoor air quality is part and parcel of a good design. Finally, if we want to optimize the total future value of buildings, it would behoove us, even in low-income households, to meet or exceed future expectations. Homes that become obsolete quicker are much more likely to lose a greater amount of value. So the whole strategy that comes with Zero Energy Ready Home is effective at providing a way to exceed future expectations. First, we're going to optimize efficiency so that we meet and exceed codes going into the future. We'll do that with energy efficient enclosures that meet and exceed codes and other design features that ensure we are above code. Then we do energy efficient components throughout the home that are even more critical now that the energy use for non-heating and cooling loads are now more than 60% or 50% of the total energy use in the building. Step two is we want to now do no harm now that we've optimized efficiency. So here we want to address those three challenges. If we can, or if we can no longer have any moisture get in the assembly without substantial risk because of cold surfaces and less drying, we need comprehensive water protection. If comfort's more challenged because of longer swing seasons and much reduced airflow in duct systems that historically have not been designed thoroughly, we want an ensured quality installed heating and cooling system or comfort system that addresses humidity loads. And third, we want comprehensive indoor air quality to address the fact that homes are much more tight. Finally, to meet and exceed future expectations, it is really also important to have homes ready for zero or solar ready. And the reason for that is low cost or no cost details can ensure solar can be added in the future with no disruption or cost penalty. That's so important because even low-income households deserve the opportunity to take advantage of the amazing innovation happening in renewable technology research and development. So this is how we make homes that meet and exceed future expectations. And again, we'll submit that low-income households need this to protect their largest investment of a lifetime for them as well as for all households. And the Zero Energy Ready Home label is a way to ensure they get that. I'll now hand off to Jamie for looking at how Habitat is working with Zero Energy Ready Home.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Molly, for the introduction at the outset. So in this section, we'll take a quick look at the experience that we've seen over the last several years with different Habitat affiliates working successfully and taking advantage of the DOE Zero Energy Ready Home program. So a quick roll-up of what that participation has looked like is shown here. We can see over 20 different affiliates are registered as builder partners with the Zero Energy Ready Home program as of the current time. That amounts to, in terms of homes, over about 80 certified homes to date, and those are built by 12 affiliates. And I'm also aware of several affiliates who have projects currently under construction, so we expect to see that number tick up. And then on that right-hand side, the Housing Innovation Awards, this is really impressive. These are some of the best Zero Energy Ready homes built throughout the entire country by all the partners, and they receive an award at the annual Housing Innovation Awards. So 11 different Housing Innovation Awards have been awarded to Habitat projects, and they have been built by 6 affiliates, cascading across 3 different states. Here we can see a quick visual here of where the activity is taking place. All the blue states represent areas where Habitat affiliates are partners with DOE Zero Energy Ready. And then some of the award-winning Housing Innovation Award-winning chapters are shown here. And really, there's 2 affiliates from Michigan, 1 from North Carolina, and then 3 from the Florida region. So those are the award-winning affiliates that we've seen. Oh yeah, here we go. They've all clicked in. So that's Grand Traverse and Kalamazoo in Michigan, Catawba Valley in North Carolina, and South Sarasota, Southeast Volusia, and Manatee County in Florida. And just a quick example, here's an example of a Catawba Valley press release that is really taking advantage and getting the word out about their 2016 Housing Innovation Award-winning project. It's one of the things that DOE really encourages our builder partners when they are among the award winners to take advantage of that in their outreach to their different constituent groups. Another quick example of that, this from the South Sarasota affiliate, making it known that they've won another Housing Innovation Award from the DOE Zero Energy Ready Home program. So a lot of good experience showing not just participation, but really high-level projects that are award-worthy within the Zero Energy Ready Home program. So just a quick snapshot. There's a lot of anecdotal information, but I think the takeaway here is that some of the really leading affiliates have been involved with the program for years at this point and have a good track record of successfully building Zero Energy Ready Home projects. Next section we'll take on is the specifications. The builders, designers, construction managers, and other groups always want to know, what's involved in building to this program to meet the specifications of the Zero Energy Ready Home program. The way we'll frame that is we'll look at the lift to move from Energy Star homes up to DOE Zero Ready, because for the most part, that's a big funnel for the program. A lot of the builder participants, whether they be Habitat affiliates or otherwise, generally are building somewhere in that neighborhood of Energy Star homes, and they want to do more. They're positioned to increase the efficiency and performance, so that's their starting point. So in discussions like today's discussion, we'll frame the specs in terms of what's the difference in moving from Energy Star to the DOE Zero Ready program. We'll start off with what building types are even eligible. We can see here it looks the same as Energy Star, and that's by design. So we have sort of a continuous fabric there of what buildings can participate: single-family detached, single-family attached dwellings. We can go into multifamily buildings up to 5 stories, where central HVAC and domestic hot water are allowed. The focus is really new construction. We have just a handful of projects that are existing homes where they did a gut rehab. So here's the context, which we'll look at over the next several minutes. We'll call it the stair-step diagram at points. Over on the far left, we have a minimum code home, and you can see what that means in terms of the HERS value and the envelope requirements based on the 2012 code. And then moving left to right, Energy Star version 3 brings in more rigorous HERS and some other requirements that we'll talk about. Energy Star 3.1 is similar, but it raises the bar, or actually lowers the bar on HERS, making it more stringent. And then over on the far right is what we're going to focus on. It's the DOE Zero Energy Ready Home program, and we want to look at how that differs and goes above and beyond Energy Star homes. So we'll focus on those yellow boxes that you see here. Starting off with the ground floor, that HERS value. So the HERS value is the measuring stick of the home's efficiency, and most energy raters and designers and builders in today's industry are probably familiar with it to some extent. And this slide simply shows that within the DOE's Zero Ready program, there's something called a target home, and it's listed out in our specifications doc. Target home lays out, depending on where you are building in terms of climate zone, it lays out for the target home how efficient different components in the building should be. So the little red box is highlighting that if you're building climate zone 5, for example, and you're using a furnace, the target home assumes that's a 94% efficient furnace. The actual home being built does not have to be 94. It could be higher, it could be lower. But as the modeling on the home is done, in the background, all the modeling software that produces a HERS score has our target home programmed into it, and it will come out with a HERS target that your design home has to meet or exceed. And that target home is dialed into the specifications like that 94 AFUE or other specs that apply to different building systems. So at the end of the project, the modeling that's occurring, the design home has to meet or exceed the target home HERS index. What do those HERS index look like? Well, that's what we see here. And generally we see them in the low to mid 50s, sometimes in the high 40s, but it's project specific, so you'll want to do that modeling run and understand what's the HERS target for your project, and then what is the actual HERS your design is achieving, and seeing if they work out. Most of the time they do. You can see here Energy Star 3.0 has HERS requirements up in the 60s or low 70s. Energy Star 3.1 is down into the low 60s or the high 50s. And so Zero Ready is a tick below that, but we see so much activity in the industry, as you see here on this slide, that ResNet is routinely reporting now 200,000 plus HERS ratings per year, and they also tabulate the average HERS index of all those ratings, and for several years now it's been in the low 60s. So our takeaway from this is that there's tens of thousands of homes that in terms of the HERS index, they've already arrived at Zero Energy Ready levels of performance. They will be very unlikely to need a lower HERS index. They're already there. So that's been our experience in dealing with many, many builders entering the program. The HERS value is something they probably already have taken care of. Here's a quick example of a Habitat house in Florida. You can see it here in the picture, and it achieved a HERS 49. That's not with the contribution of any PV. That's just good mechanicals, good envelope, good air sealing, etc. So that's the HERS value. Next building block we'll look at is the enclosure. As you can see here on that second row of the stair steps, Energy Star 3.1 requires the enclosure to be based on a 2012 code. Zero Ready ticks that up to the enclosure being benchmarked to be at least as good as 2015 IECC. The ways to actually comply, we can go prescriptive, where if an R20 is required in a wall, then the design calls for an R20 or greater, or there can be an equivalent U factor, or where most of our projects, maybe all of our projects, tend to go is this total UA calculation, which allows for some trading off of insulation levels from one part of the envelope to another. And this lets builders and designers optimize where they really want to invest in the insulation. And the best part is that the rating software does all the calcs in the background, and you get to just see, is the design passing the 2015 envelope requirement, or is it falling a bit short? And you can make adjustments accordingly. So just to kick the tires a little bit on what did the R values look like in the 2015 Energy Code, here's a snapshot of that for climate zones 4 and 5. So you can see the attic is R49. The above grade walls would be R20 or R13 with R5 continuous. So these are levels that, by and large, most builders are at or near these levels already. So this does not tend to be a stumbling block for builders coming into the Zero Ready program. The inevitable question is what are builders doing that are participating in the program in terms of their walls? And in some of our trainings, we go into this in a lot more detail, but a quick snapshot of what that looks like is shown here. Some of the most common solutions and strategies we see are advanced framing with a thicker wall. So it's 2x6 construction where they optimize the R value to the extent possible, filling in as much R value in that cavity as possible. A handful of builders are using a staggered stud approach where the top and bottom plates are 2x6, but the studs are staggered interior facing and exterior facing, and they're only 2x4, so you don't have a thermal bridge from the front, from the interior of the wall to the exterior. Then we also see different strategies using rigid insulation on the exterior. Sometimes that exterior rigid insulation includes a sheathing component, but some designs actually do not include a sheathing component. So there's both strategies there. Then we get into some of the panel systems like SIPs, structurally insulated panels. Some builders in the program have adopted that technology. Others are using ICFs, and still others are using a double wall, double wood frame walls, which provides a far more depth in the wall cavity that allows for greater levels of insulation. We see a lot of different strategies, and they depend on a lot of different factors that the builder takes into account. The other part of the envelope we'd like to speak about briefly here is the windows. The Zero Ready Home program requires that the windows be at least as good as those levels indicated by Energy Star window specs. So you can see that spelled out here. It's parsed out by the climate zone. So for example, if you're in climate zone 4, that middle column, the window package overall has to be at least as good as a U factor of 0.3 and a solar heat gain of 0.4. A total window package calc can be used. So if one or two windows are not as good as these specs, but the overall area weighted average is, that package would meet the program's requirements. So those next three rungs on the ladder we're going to tick through very quickly, because the independent verification, the water management, and the quality installed HVAC with whole house ventilation, these are all rolled in requirements from the Energy Star Homes program, which, as is noted here on the right, is a prerequisite for projects qualifying for DOE Zero Energy Ready. So there's a lot of value here, and this is a really important component of Zero Energy Ready homes, that they have that third-party independent verification, that they have that checklist of water management provisions to deal with those moisture risks that Sam highlighted a few minutes earlier, and that we have a quality installed HVAC system along with whole house ventilation. Those are all really important components, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. They're built into Energy Star, which is a prereq, so they're they're a component in each Zero Energy Ready home as well. So we'll move past those into where Zero Ready sort of goes above and beyond Energy Star homes, and the first stop there is the optimized duct location. So a quick example of why duct location can really matter is shown here. Over on the left, we might have a very efficient furnace, but we have a pretty unimpressive duct system at a 60% efficiency. Where on the right, we have a very sort of minimal efficiency furnace, but a very efficient duct system. If you combine those two, you can see the overall system efficiency is better with a really routine furnace, but a great duct system. In reality, we want the best of both worlds. We want good HVAC efficiency as well as good duct efficiency. But this just emphasizes why duct location and performance is really important. Another quick snapshot of that point is shown here, where we've seen some builders invest in very high SEER variable speed cooling equipment, which runs at part load for long amounts of time. If your ductwork is located in a hot attic, the impact of that long runtime really takes its toll, and you get a greatly reduced efficiency benefit from that SEER 21 when your ducts are in the attic as compared to if they were in conditioned space. So a couple quick points as to why ducts really matter. The optimized duct locations that are called out in the program specs as being viable solutions are shown here. 6 of them, as we see over on the left side, are different strategies where the ducts are located in conditioned space. And most of these probably look very familiar. Drop ceiling, creating this pocket up in the modified attic truss. Several Habitat affiliates in Florida have used that design in the past. Ducts in an open web floor truss between the floors. If we have a insulated, air-sealed, unvented crawl or basement, that's always a good spot to locate ducts as well as equipment. Ductless HVAC systems and ducts in an unvented attic, those are all good viable solutions. And then our spec also calls out a few different pathways where ducts can actually be buried, sometimes encapsulated with spray foam, in a vented attic, and that's called out here in the lower right. There's more details on that in our program specs, but there's a host of solutions to really get ducts into a better location so they're not going to exert a performance penalty on the home, really for the life cycle of the house. A few exceptions also apply. A little bit of duct length can be outside the thermal barrier and air barrier of the home, up to 10 feet, and jump ducts can traverse through an attic as long as they're well air sealed. Next item is that each Zero Energy Ready home project is certified also under the EPA Indoor Air Plus program. So what Indoor Air Plus looks like is shown at a high level here, where Energy Star Homes gets us a fairly good start in terms of a number of IAQ measures. For example, it requires whole house ventilation. Indoor Air Plus builds upon that head start and layers on some additional provisions to really produce a complete indoor air quality system that deals with items like radon, keeping pests out, low emission materials, and some additional measures in those bottom 3 boxes. We'll tick through these 6 areas quickly over the next few slides just to give the group an indication of what's involved. So radon resistant construction is shown here. It's a handful of basic measures to create a barrier from soil gases from getting into the home. We do a number of these things already, like the gravel, the plastic sheeting, and sealing with caulk around the edges of the slab. We do a number of those things already for moisture control. So we're adding in a passive stack and proximity to an electrical supply, item E there, if in some point in the future that an active system, including a mitigation fan, is added to the system. Radon test kits are not required. So those radon-resistant construction techniques are required by the Indoor Air Plus program in Radon Zone 1, which you can see is the dark red zones shown throughout the country here on this map. It's a very good risk mitigation practice if a home is built in an area with higher levels of radon to keep that gas to manageable and controlled levels within the home. Screening openings for pests. This is a code minimum provision, but it's added to the Indoor Air Plus checklist just to make sure it's done so we can have some assurance that pests are kept out of the home. Low emission materials. This is another component of Indoor Air Plus, which is rolled into the Zero Energy Ready Home program. This one's very important because the homes are getting built tighter and tighter, and there's a huge inventory of low emission products available out there. So we want to make sure that those are selected and installed in the home. Uh, the, the requirements cover low formaldehyde pressed wood, low formaldehyde cabinets, low VOC paints, and low VOC carpet padding and adhesives. There are a wide variety of third-party certs out there that have been underway for a long time, and they have test standards and certification protocols to label compliant products. What the Indoor Air Plus program does, it references selected third-party specs for each of those product categories, and better yet, they now have a fact sheet that really spells out the basic steps and certs to look for so that builders, designers, specifiers can easily identify and procure and install compliant products. So this fact sheet is available on the EPA Indoor Air Plus website. We can also make it available to partners, and it's on the DOE Zero Ready website. I would just encourage partners to take a look at this because it's a quick shortcut to making sure the right product certs are referenced and used. In terms of combustion safety, the Indoor Air Plus program also calls for CO alarms in the bedroom areas. Again, this is a code minimum provision, but we're ensuring that it's getting done as part of this complete IAQ system. Another component is shown here. If a home has an attached garage, it makes sense to have an automatically closing gasketed door so any contaminants in the garage don't find their way into the home. And secondly, if this house actually is using exhaust-based whole house ventilation system, then the Indoor Air Plus program calls for a couple things. We want to make sure this exhaust fan, which is running for whole house ventilation, isn't accidentally pulling in contaminants from that garage. So the IAP program offers two options. A is to install a garage exhaust fan, which will pull air out of the garage to the exterior, or B, by virtue of this blower door diagnostic test, demonstrate that the house to garage seal is very well air sealed so that we don't have to worry about migration of contaminants from that garage finding their way into the house. By and large, most builders in our program that find themselves in this scenario go with option B and are able to meet that specification. We also want to keep air handlers out of the garage. This is sort of a extreme example, but air handlers should be kept out of the garage so we're not entraining contaminants and bringing them into the house. No building cavity ductwork. It's leaky, and it also presents some indoor air quality risks in the long term. This is also part and parcel of more recent energy codes as well, which do not allow building cavity ductwork. High capture filtration is required by Indoor Air Plus, at least MERV 8 or higher. And then also in those areas of the country which are more warm and humid, and we'll see this in a minute in a map, auxiliary equipment with enough capacity to maintain indoor RH at or below 60% is required to control the indoor RH levels throughout the year. The area where that's required is actually shown in the white striped area down in the southeast. However, we have a number of builders that are implementing that measure elsewhere, even though it's not required, just for better humidity control, such as the upper regions of climate 3A and 4A as shown here on the map. So that highlights the Indoor Air Plus package, those pieces that go above and beyond Energy Star homes that are required as part of that comprehensive indoor air quality system. Next building block is efficient components and hot water distribution. The point behind this set of provisions is shown conceptually here, where over on the left we have our energy budget of a home built perhaps 10, 20 years ago. And we can see that the contribution of lighting, appliances, hot water, and miscellaneous loads was less than half. It was dominated by heating and cooling. But what's happened with modern codes and much better envelopes is the overall budget of energy use has shrunk, and that portion used for heating and cooling has shrunk quite a bit. So now that the lighting, appliances, water heating, miscellaneous loads represent well over half of the home's energy use. So it really makes sense as we're looking for the next best opportunities to focus on those systems. So the Zero Ready specification addresses those with some fairly simple, uh, easily implemented low-cost, in some cases no-cost measures, such as requiring that builder-supplied appliances, the refrigerator, dishwasher, clothes washer, if that's part of the package, that those be Energy Star certified. Likewise, bath ventilation fans and ceiling fans should be Energy Star certified. The lighting, at least 80% of the fixtures or lamps will be high efficiency, either CFL or LED. And then in terms of the hot water distribution, there's either an energy efficient layout for the plumbing, hot water plumbing, or as a separate option, that the home use a very high efficiency water heater with water sense shower heads and bathroom faucets. So that last component is an A or B type provision. And finally, just wrapping up, as Sam mentioned, we want to offer the opportunity for these homes to more easily integrate solar in the future if that opportunity presents itself. And so homes are required to follow a PV-ready checklist as long as they don't fall under some of the exceptions that we'll see here in a minute. For homes that do follow the checklist, here's what they look like. It's documenting the load ratings on the roof structure so that the homeowner has them in hand if they need them in the future. It's running that piece of conduit from the attic area down to the electric service panel so wiring can be fished through there at some point in the future. That conduit is capped and labeled. It's providing a dedicated area for the balance of system components like the inverter. It's running a conduit from that area over to the service panel. And then finally, it's reserving space in the panel itself to add a circuit breaker that ties in a future PV system. From a national program perspective, the PV Ready checklist is required in those areas that get a lot of solar on an annual basis, as you can see here in the orange and yellow areas. Elsewhere, all those green areas, it's encouraged to implement those PV Ready measures. And in fact, a lot of our builders go ahead and do that because they feel it's likely in their area that PV might be added to their homes. A few other allowances that are worth noting: if there's significant shading on a building, then the PV Ready features are not required, or if simply the building is not turned the right way and there's not enough south-facing roof available, that's another exception that would apply. If any of these exceptions do apply, the home can still be part of the Zero Ready program and labeled as such, as long as it meets all the other provisions. And there's also some multifamily building allowances in terms of the PV Ready features. So that's the entirety of it, the steps to go above and beyond Energy Star, as we see here. And just a few people sometimes ask, what does it cost, right? Very natural question. And we have a sort of that it depends answer, but we'll go beyond that a little bit, and we'll tell you what it depends on. One of the biggest things it depends on is what's the base energy code that's already being followed. The more aggressive that base code, the smaller the difference between Zero Ready and the standard practices already being used. Another big factor is which version of Energy Star is a builder typically building to. If it's Energy Star version 3.1, which is more rigorous, then the step up to Zero Ready is reduced. And then finally, looking at a particular affiliate, if they're in Radon Zone 1, are they already including that passive radon mitigation system? If so, then that's one less thing, one less cost that would be incurred by moving to Zero Ready. If it's a affiliate building in the Southeast, are they already using central systems that can control based on humidity, or are they using supplemental dehumidification? If they're doing either of those things, then those measures don't have to be folded into the Zero Ready specs because they're already part of the standard building practice. And then lastly, the ductwork. If the ductwork is already in one of those optimized locations, that can be one less thing that the builder has to consider changing as part of their move to Zero Ready. There's a cost analysis available for those who'd like to take a look that models Zero Ready specs, the energy savings, as well as the marginal cost compared to 2009 or 2012 minimum code home. In all cases for that analysis, the value of the monthly energy savings once it's rolled into the mortgage was greater than the added costs as they're rolled to the mortgage. So energy savings trump the amortized marginal costs once they're rolled into the mortgage for the home. Quick example based on some actual habitat projects is shown here. Cost factor on the left, estimated benefits on the right. So based on some actual projects, we estimated the added cost to go from a code minimum home to a zero-ready home would be somewhere in that $1,500 to $5,000 range. If we amortize that added cost with a zero interest 30-year fixed rate mortgage, which could be typical for a habitat project, you'd see the added cost there in the second row. Energy savings roughly $50 per month, so greatly outweighing the added cost once it's rolled into the mortgage, and you have that net monthly cash flow, $36 to $46 of savings, and that rolls up to tens of thousands over a 30-year loan. And then really important down here in the bottom, they're not captured in these numbers, but we get a lot of anecdotal information indicating how important these are, is lower health costs in this home with a complete indoor air quality package, lower maintenance costs, and greater future value. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Sam to take us into Section 4, talking about the recognition that builders are able to realize from participating in the program.
Hey, thanks, Jamie, and I'm back with you, and I'm going to take you through the last few modules, and I see I'm in the wrong section. All right, thought I'd move that. So last two sections, and what I'm going to start with is getting recognition, where it's more obvious for a for-market mainstream builder to care about recognition, so they could be more differentiated to their buyers and have more distinction. Sometimes you don't think about that for a Habitat for Humanity builder or affiliate, and I would submit the recognition is equally valuable. In many cases, Habitat for Humanity needs to convey the significance of what they're doing to decision makers, to funders. I think a lot of times in community settings, the story about what they're doing could be enhanced. And so we're pretty bullish that the recognition is just as valuable for them as well. So moving forward, I want to share with you that there are a lot of opportunities to be recognized and to showcase the amazing work each affiliate does that moves into the level of performance that's zero energy ready. And first and foremost, the most obvious one, of course, is the program logo. Then there's a whole array of customizable resources that really are valuable at communicating the benefits of the label. Then there's awards, we call them the Housing Innovation Awards, also being featured on a national showcase for Zero that we call the Tour of Zero, and finally partner locator so that stakeholders can find the partners working with the program and consumers as well. So we'll walk you through these one at a time. And the logo, like I said, is the most obvious. If you're a partner, you have full access to it, and you can use it in any number of different purposes that help promote that you are, in fact, building to this level of excellence. So in this case, this builder, Lifestyle Homes in Florida, has very effectively used the logo on their sign during construction. And again, it basically enhances who they are by showing they're doing this very, very substantial program as part of this project. Equally effective is another builder who takes all three certifications that come along with Zero Energy Ready Home, and that includes Air Plus from EPA and Energy Star from EPA as well. In this particular case, the builder was also building to the National Green Building Standards from National Association of Home Builders, so they had all those certifications on the home as well. Again, for purposes of dedications and special events, plaques like this are very special at showing that something significant is going on in terms of how this home is being built to a much higher level of performance. Then the next thing I want to highlight is this comparison bar tool we have, which is leveraged for a number of communication resources we provide. But just to show you what is the purpose of this, it's to highlight the substantial difference when you move up from the other choices most affiliates or consumers would have, which is the Energy Star home to a zero energy ready home, or from an existing home to a labeled home. So the green bar is a zero energy ready home metric. The blue bar is the Energy Star certified home metric, and the existing home is gray bars. And for different attributes, we show the performance difference, or how much you give up by not moving up to zero energy ready home. So you see that for health, comfort, technology, energy efficient performance, quality, and durability. And to show you how it works, here's a brochure, and you notice that there's over here the builder's logo and information can be placed. But essentially, those 6 bars right here are being used in the brochure to highlight, again, the contrast between moving up to zero ready and the other choices that are commonly available for the consumer or the homeowner. And in the case of a buyer, let's say, who you want to highlight, let's say, a health benefit. You know, the low-income family, their kids up to now have been struggling with managing asthma and using inhalers. You take a big, thick marker, circled healthful environment, and what you're able to say in just a very short comparison statement is that the zero energy ready home has 100% of the recommendations by the best experts on health in new construction. In comparison, you give up half of those with an Energy Star certified home, and in an existing home, almost 90% of all those recommendations. And of course, when you agree, when your kids struggle every day so much with breathing, that you want to know you have all the recommendations by the best experts so they can breathe better every day. And to get a way to highlight what you're doing. And if it's to a decision maker, the message is, look what we're doing with this affiliate. We know that health is a common challenge in low-income households, and we have 100% of the recommendations. Had we just built to the minimum Energy Star recommendations, we'd be providing homes with half that protection and hardly any for our clients who have to move into existing homes. Again, to really showcase what you're doing by building to this level of excellence. Now, these same comparison bars are used on multiple tools. So here's a just simple flyer that is produced, again, can be customized for a Habitat affiliate or a builder right here at the bottom. But again, you feature the same 6 comparisons for health, comfort, technology, efficient performance, quality, and durability. And again, it could be used the exact same way if you're in a communication situation to a decision maker or funder. You could circle how you provide more healthy homes if that's your interest, to highlight that attribute. Another way we're using these comparison bars is by developing fact sheets just for each individual attribute that can be customized. So again, in this sample fact sheet over here, you have it customized for a builder, in this case, Mandalay Homes. At the top, we have a very simple description about the compelling benefit, the 3 main characteristics or design strategies that deliver this benefit. And then over here, very significantly, actual zero energy ready homeowner testimonial statements, experiences about how once they moved into these homes, no more fumes, no more itchy eyes, we're definitely happy, we throw away inhalers, didn't know our kids could breathe well again. So just ways to document that the actual experience in many cases is consistent with the intention of building homes that protect health. And much like there's this fact sheet for health, there's ones being developed for comfort, technology, low bills, quality, building it right the first time, and homes that will stand the test of time, that are more durable. So again, the ability to communicate and get recognition for doing something very special. And again, remember, we highlighted up front for low-income households, these attributes are often even more important than they are for a regular household, because they are least able to take on the expenses that result from not attending to them. Similarly, if our partners want to just use testimonials, we're developing a database where they can go right in, take the testimonial statements from hundreds and hundreds of these zero energy ready homes that are certified, and pull the actual homeowner experience into communication outreach that they're doing, again, for health, comfort, technology, efficient performance, quality, and durability. Similarly, if partners want to use drop-in messaging from the Voice of Authority, the U.S. Department of Energy and the Zero Energy Ready Home program, we have a database of messages that can be pulled and the partner's name inserted, again, to showcase that really important work is going on in this particular, let's say, Habitat for Humanity affiliate to bring these homes to a substantial level of excellence. And to show you by example how this works, here's an actual builder, Thrive Home Builders. You go to their website, there'll be a quote here in the bottom that, that I'll blow up. Zero Energy Ready homes are the future of U.S. housing, and innovators like Thrive Home Builders are leading the way for the entire industry. And you kind of get the flavor that this is a way to showcase, again, important work going on by a builder or a Habitat affiliate that can be used in various reports and communication throughout the organization or through decision makers outside the organization. The other thing we do is we know that it's really important to educate homeowners, and probably low-income homeowners need as much or more education than traditional homeowners. They have less experience with home ownership. They often get less training and information about how to be a good homeowner, so that we have a standard homeowner manual that, again, can be customized for each builder. So here you see, again, the builder's name and contact information. For the most part, if you want to, you can use all the graphics that comes with the brochure, which is technology neutral, climate neutral, product neutral. Or if you want, you can drop in on the cover a picture of the actual home that goes to an actual buyer. And so that's available. But the key point about the homeowner manual is to educate the homeowner that the home is actually built to this higher performance standard, and that there are key things that can help them get the most from having a home built to that level of excellence. So in the brochure, we educate buyers about the superior thermal enclosure, water protection, comfort, efficient components, health protection, solar-ready construction, and quality assurance that comes with the home. The way it works, by example, is, let's say the thermal enclosure page shows, again, all the features that come with the home in terms of the benefit they provide, and then key feature by key feature, what makes the home special. You know, the high performance windows, the high performance insulation, the complete draft protection, and very importantly at the bottom is tips so homeowners get the most out of the home. Anytime work's being done on your home that involves wall penetrations or workers in your attic, make sure that the contractor is required to maintain insulation levels and airtight construction. So very simple guidance, and also educating them that they have a special home and how to use it and get the most out of it. Additionally, we mentioned there are awards for partners. We call it, again, the Housing Innovation Awards. The wonderful thing about this award process is that it's a fantastic way for the Zero Energy Ready Home program to collect tremendously valuable information that show actual examples of homes achieving superior consumer experiences. And also, I mentioned earlier, it's the way we get the testimonials about living in these homes. So we provide the awards, the partners provide information about their homes, and it's a great mutual benefit with these awards. They're done once a year, and then each home that receives an award is placed on the Tour of Zero. The way the Tour of Zero works is you go to our website and you can click on a map in any location or climate of interest. Up will pop a whole array of homes that are built to Zero Energy Ready home. I can click on one like Laurel Gardens, which is a Habitat for Humanity home built in South Sarasota County. And if I click on that home, I get to take the tour. The images show me the home in the pictures. You'll notice here at the bottom is the actual consumer experience. Our energy costs are lower than ever, but our quality of life is higher. And if you want to scroll through the home, like on any real estate site, you can see pictures on the outside, pictures on the inside. And if you go further down, you actually can see some technical pictures of how it was constructed to more rigorous standards of excellence. When you scroll down further, you actually get the key numbers about the home or statistics. This home was 1,290 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It had a HERS index of 51. The average monthly energy bill is $70. And the key point, you mentioned earlier that the 30-year savings can often and usually do exceed tens of thousands of dollars. In this case, this home will save the homeowner $26,000 in the first 30 years. Remember that Jamie highlighted that these homes on average cost about $1,500 to $5,000 more per month, or not per month, first cost to build to our requirements. Think how much value is locked in for the 50, 100 years that this home continues to provide a healthy, safe, durable place for people to live. And this doesn't even count the savings on maintenance costs, the savings on health costs, and the locked-in future value that these homeowners can experience. So it's really important to have these numbers and why the Tour Zero is so important. We scrolled, and there's a 30 savings number. Now, if I want to go and see more about this affiliate and how they work, I can click over here, and I get the contact information for that builder, which again is a Habitat for Humanity affiliate in South Sarasota County. You notice over here the awards they want, contact information, number of homes that they certified, and the location where they're based. So every partner has a page like this on the locator tool, and this simply connects it when you click over there to that locator tool page. If you go down further, you'll see the list of key features in the home that provide all those benefits on above. The full testimonial quote, from which the highlight quote is selected and included below the images of the home. And so they're the innovations. There's the experience. Often there's a video that can be watched about either the construction or the testimonial from the homeowner. If you click on the floor plan, you get a blown up image of the floor plan. Here's a house as constructed. I mentioned the locator tool. If you simply want to find partners, you go there, you click on a certain region of the country, and up pop all the partners. 100% partners are listed first in yellow, so people know which builders are 100% dedicated to only providing these kinds of homes. And there you can go and click on a builder and get to the locator tool page that we referenced earlier, which has contact information, links often to their website, lists of awards, number of homes, and so that's an automatic. So the strategy here for us is basically, it's about leveraging. All our tools for recognition are leveraging key elements that really help people resonate with what you're doing. And the first is trust, and the trust is with the DOE voice of authority. It's in the label, it's in all the messaging, but you're being associated with independent expert that people recognize as credible and a really important source of expertise in housing. Then a differentiation. It's with the logo, it's with the awards, being featured on the locator tool, and being featured on the Tour Zero. And then the clarity that comes with contrast. Contrast is like many-fold more effective at showing clarity than simply stating something's better. So all the contrast-based fact sheets that we showed are incredibly effective at leveraging clarity so people know the difference in your home versus other choices. And then having actual homeowner experiences is invaluable because it validates a lot of the benefits that are being discussed and making them real. So the Housing Innovation Award homeowner quotes that are featured on both the Tour Zero and on the fact sheets and the database being developed are invaluable for making this real, that all the benefits actually happen. And lastly, partner recognition is really important. Again, that you are part of the top 1% builders in the country that can build to this federal government's most rigorous guidelines for high performance. And so making the resources customizable gives you more partner recognition. So a lot of information to help you leverage these resources and to help you promote them. So there's these webinars are available 24/7 on our website. And so I'll just let you know that they're there for sake of time and move on to what are the partner responsibilities, which is to take an orientation training, which is almost identical to the content we're presenting to you today, to provide a Zero Energy Ready Home certificate to each homeowner to use the brand as per our guidelines, which means only use the Zero Energy Ready Home label on a home that meets the program requirements, and build or verify at least one home every 18 months to be an active partner. Nothing will happen if you go and exceed 18 months, but you will be pulled from the locator tool until such time that you have another certified home and be placed back on our locator tool once again. So that's it for partner responsibilities. And once you're a partner, we do ask that you update your information, and that includes adding, deleting contacts and adding logos. And if you do decide to make additional commitments like 100% or do water sense for water, to make sure you keep us posted and updated on that as well. We recommend you access the tools and resources. They've been so useful and effective. We hear from a growing number of partners. And every year you'll get a note from us telling you the actual certifications that we have on record. Do check that with your records to make sure we do have all the homes that have been certified. Wrap up with getting started in the program. The key thing you should know is that in every way, this program was intended to be an easy staircase to Energy Star. Jamie showed you that by virtue of the specifications that are in lockstep with the framework for the Energy Star Certified Home Program. Well, in the same way they have mandated requirements, a reference home, and currently a size adjustment factor, so do we. And it mimics that framework almost identically. And in addition, we use the same rater network, so the verification is almost seamless to go from Energy Star to Zero Energy Ready Home. It's the same software, same plan review and inspection protocol. So it couldn't be more elegantly simple to move up from Energy Star to Zero Energy Ready Home. And then the process to make all this happen is you go online, and in a few minutes you can become a partner by filling in the information for becoming a partner. You will not need to pre-register projects the way many do for green programs. And in addition, there are no program certification fees, in other words, a fee to use the label. There will be a cost for verification unless the verification is pro bono by a local HERS rater. We recommend an integrated design process for the mechanical, electrical, plumbing contractors so everyone's on the same page on the front end. And also you can take advantage of opportunities to optimize your design and in many cases take out some of the costs through some real efficient coordination on the front end. The rater will step in and do plan review to make sure the home as designed is compliant, and then during construction do the site inspections and diagnostics. The certification will happen automatically when the rater submits a compliance report from the software to the ResNet registry. ResNet is a residential energy services network. They oversee all the HERS raters that work with them, and when they submit the home to the registry, we have access, and you don't need to report homes like you have to do with Energy Star and other programs. That happens automatically, and then you will be credited with certified homes on our website, as I mentioned. So that's the process. It's basically very simple, and essentially I'm going to leave you with this slide before I hand off to Molly to wrap up. But basically, you've heard about a lot of resources, and we gave you steps for going forward. So if you go to the buildings.energy.gov/0/again, you will find the links to become a partner, the program spec, the tour of Zero. We mentioned all the recorded webinars and the marketing resources. All those are on that website. If you have any questions, this email address is a very effective way for you to kind of get answers very quickly. So all this is available. We think this is a great way, again, for Habitat affiliates to truly start moving to even more affordable housing, looking at all the costs of ownership, the future value, and we hope more of you take the advantage of joining this program. Back to you, Molly.
Excellent. Again, thanks so much, Sam and Jamie. This has been a great look at a program that we're promoting here at Habitat International as one which offers real benefits to the Habitat home buyers that we work with. And thanks again to everyone who's listening right now. In addition to the materials on the DOE Zero Energy Ready Home sites, please check the building science page on My Habitat for resources, which are aimed at helping you incorporate zero energy ready methods and materials, as well as more examples of habitat successes with the Zero Energy Ready Home program. And with that, we are looking forward to seeing what you build. Thanks again.